Hello and welcome to part 4 of counting. This is not an official part. You could stop right here. You don't have to watch this. But if you want to do the huge numbers in Japanese, you kind of have to be here. And we're going to talk about a technique that I had to develop as an interpreter. Because as an interpreter, I was doing these... One day I was interpreting for Tokyo Disneyland, and they had come to Comdex. And they were talking about storage systems, and they were saying, this storage system can do 1 million this or 20 million that. And I couldn't immediately come up with the numbers in my brain, and it was pretty embarrassing. So I came back to the office and I thought, how can I make a way for me to hear the word million and know in Japanese that it's hyakuman, or hear the word 100 million and know that it's oku in Japanese, which are the large numbers. So let's go ahead, because it would be nice. It would be nice if it was just, a million in Japanese is this, but it doesn't work that way. So let's go ahead and let's talk about the zero method. Copyright George Trombley, 19 something. All right. So with this counter, with just mon, we can get up to 100 million. Okay. Because look at this number, it's 9,999 man. 9,999. Okay? 9,999 man, 9,999. There's 9,999 units of man. In Japanese, you can have up to 9,999 units of man. Let's look at that. In English, we do everything in sets of 3, basically, right? We can have 999 units of 1,000. And we can have, in Japanese, though, up to 9,999 units of their units. They are split up into 4. This is what confuses us a little bit. So, man can go up to 9,999. Let's look at that in a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see. So I would like you to please, I might have to make a lesson about this or put these graphics somewhere. Or maybe in the lesson, I will let everyone download the PowerPoint in the new version of yesjapan.com, which is now japanesefromzero.com, which for those of you that are live streaming, this video wasn't up yet, but the website will be up. You can download the PowerPoint. I will make sure that can happen right below this video in the lesson. Okay, so this is what, let me do this. I meant to do it this way. The order of the display came out wrong. So the first graphic is English. And the way that we split things up in English is 1,000, million, billion, trillion. And in English, we have a comma that marks that spot. So let me read this number to you, and I'm going to read it in a kind of a strange voice so that you can figure out where the breaks are. 9,999 trillion, 9,999 billion. I said 9,000, didn't I? Let me start over. Sorry. 999 trillion. 999 billion, 999 million, 999,000. You see how I'm just saying 999. I've maxed out all of the spots for trillion, billion, million, and thousand. And then the final number is just 999. In Japanese, they have a similar breaking system, but it's every 4 digits, okay? And they split it up with man, oku, and kei, okay? Man being the 10,000 marker. Oku being the 10 million marker, which makes no sense to you, right? And K being K is 12 zeros. So that is the 100 billion marker, I think? 12 zeros. No. I actually have to think about that one. 12 zeros. Oh, no. 12 zeros exactly equals the trillion marker. That's the only one that matches. K equals trillion. All right. So let me read the Japanese number now. Now that we know that we can max out the Japanese place parts, where we have commas, they don't. They can have 9,999 of each of their large units. So it sounds like this: 9,999 K, 9,990 oku, 9,990 man, and then 9,990 right? So we're not learning a lot of new words. We're learning oku and kei. So you could look at a number one way to look at how to say a big number is look at the number physically and then count 4 and put a mon. Count 4 and put an oku. Count 4 and put a k. Those are huge numbers, okay? And then if you want to know what it is in English, just go ahead and put your commas in, right? It's very easy. All right, so I don't know why this... Okay. Now, this next part, we're going to show you what happens when you add zeros using the mon, what it turns into. So there's many ways to get the big numbers. The traditional way is what I'm getting ready to show you. It's you just memorize what they are. So one is, this is man. 10,000 equals man. 100,000 equals ju man, which is 10,000 units. Ju man. The million marker is hyakuman. Hyakuman. You have to remember it's hyakuman. And the 10 million marker is senman. Now this is an okay way to do it, but it's a little bit hard because senman equals 1,000 man, right? So how does that in your brain easily translate to 10 million? It doesn't. It does not easily translate to 10 million, all right? If you know kanji, it makes it a little bit easier because we're not looking at all these zeros and getting confused. So man is just ichiman, right? 10 man is ju man. 100 man. If we didn't have to deal with that nasty, disturbing English, turning it into a million is hard. Or sen man. All right. Now, take a moment. Let's forget everything we just did. Let's forget everything we just did, and we're going to do the zero method. Now, this zero method is something you've never seen before. Unless you're watching this video for the second or third time. But the zero method is designed for you to hear and convert in your brain and spit out the Japanese, okay? And we're only talking about raw numbers. We're not talking about dollar to yen conversion. Don't let that confuse you. We're only talking about raw numbers. This is the way it works. Every word, every number has to be assigned a zero amount. When you hear 10, 10 is 1. Just remember that right now. There's 1 0. 1 0 in 10. 100, there are 2 zeros in 100. Okay? There are 3 zeros in 1,000. When you hear 1,000, that means there are 3 zeros in it. A million is 6 zeros. So notice we have 1, 2, 3, and 6. That's all we're going to do right now. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to give a number to you. I'm going to say a number to you. 100,000. Now you have to know how many zeros does that equal. And then you'll have this chart in your brain eventually. 100 is 2. 1,000 is 3. That makes 5 zeros. Okay? So we have 5 zeros. We have 1 plus 5 zeros to make 100,000. And indeed, 100,000 is 5 zeros. So 100,000 equals 5 zeros. Okay? So it's 1 and 5 zeros. Okay? Let's look at one more number. 1 million. Now, it's okay if you don't grasp this right away. It's not an easy concept, but once you know it, it's extremely fast to come up with numbers. 1 million is 1 and how many zeros? 6. You have to remember that million is always 6 zeros. So it's 1 and 6. Okay? You have to know how to do this in English and Japanese, or else you won't be able to make the conversion. Okay? Let's do a couple more numbers, and then we'll do Japanese, and then we'll do a combination where we switch up how to get to the Japanese numbers. All right, here's another number. 10 million. How many zeros is it? It's 1 and 10 is 1. Million is 6. That's 1 and 7. 1 and 7 zeros. Okay? Now in English you're really not hurt. If you see this number, you know what 10 million is. But we need to know how many zeros are in the number when we hear 10 million. Because here's the thing. People when they talk, they don't say, how much was your house? They don't say, it was $10,492,342. They say it was over $10 million. We talk in large numbers. We always round when we're speaking. So as long as you can do this, this method will help you tremendously in getting through most usages of big numbers. All right. So now let's do one more big number and then we'll move to Japanese. How many zeros are in 100 million? This is not a hard system. If you remember what 100 is 2, million is 6, it's 1 and 8. So now we have 1 and 8. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take these numbers, the 1 and 6 and the 1 and 8, and we're going to buy Japanese zeros. Okay, we're going to do this in a second. But first we're going to look at how Japanese numbers translate. Okay? Start with Japanese now. When you hear ju, the word ju means 1, 1 0. Hyaku means 2 zeros. Sen means 3 zeros. When you hear those words, you have to know that that equals a certain amount of zeros. They don't have a million counter. Their next counter is man. When you hear man, it means 4 zeros. For example, if I said ichiman, it's ichi and 4 zeros. It's 1 and 4 zeros. That makes 10,000. Ichiman. All right, that's it. I'm not going to give you any more. That's all we need right now because we can get up to just under 100 million with that number alone. So now let's look at a test number. You're going to come back with a 1 and a number. 1 and something. So what is this? Juman. Ju is 1, 0. Man is 4. It's 1 and 5. So it's a 1 plus 5 zeros. That makes 100,000. Okay? That makes Juman. Keep in mind, you might not get this the first time around. I have failed multiple times to explain this to Japanese people. I kind of suck at explaining it. So please watch it more than once and work on it. I feel like this is my best version, though. I've improved it just for you guys. I've tried to put this in a book. It's very complicated. All right. Hyakuman. How many zeros is that? 1 and hyakuman. Hyaku is 2. Man is 4. It is 1 and 6, right? 2 plus 4. Okay, let's do a little bit more. For some reason, it says the exact same numbers. Looks like I didn't fix anything. So maybe there aren't any more. Ah, here we go. Here we go. Senman. Now, I want to point out, this could be isenman. We didn't cover this yet. But there's no ichisen for 1,000. But when you get into the bigger numbers, a lot of times they put the 1 in there and they say isen. I-S-S-E-N. It's a double S. Isenman. So, or senman. Both of them work. How many zeros is that? It's 1 and sen is 3. Man is 4. 1 and 7. So at least you could hear the number and write it down. And then from there you could figure out it's 10 million. In this step of the game, what we've learned to do so far is just listen to the Japanese number and write it down. And listen to the English number and write it down. All right? Here's the last one. Go hyakuman. Now I put a go there. So this won't be a 1 and, it'll be a 5 and, right? It'll be a 5 and something. So, what is that? Go. Hyaku is 2 zeros. Man is 4. That means together we have 6. It is a 5 and 6. Okay? Here we go. You ready? Here's the whole thing. Here's the chart you want to put in your brain. Ju or 10 is a 1 0. Hyaku 100 is a 2. Sen or 1,000 is 3. Then there's only 2 more things you really need to get. It's man is 4 and million is 6. I'm going to add 1 more. And then another one. I'm going to add 2. We're going to add oku is 8. And billion is 9. Okay, notice that it's 4, 8, and 6, 9, because we count in 3s in English, and in Japanese they count in 4s. So with this chart in your brain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, and knowing that these numbers equal this many zeros, you can do a bunch of things. So now I'm going to give you a number. All right, try to work it out. What is this number in English and in Japanese? Some of you feel like we're playing Sudoku or something. Like this is like a mind trick. It's like, it's a mind game. So 9 million. In English, it's easy. We have 6 zeros, so I go and find 6 on the chart, and there's nothing left over just except for the 9, so it's 9 million. Okay? What about Japanese? In Japanese, this is how it works. You buy the biggest thing you can. You take away as many zeros as you can at once. You can't take away oku because there's only 6 zeros, right? You cannot buy an oku. You can only buy a man. So I buy a man. That takes away 4 zeros. What's left? 900. It's 904, right? 900 man. I've replaced those 4 zeros with the word man. And I'm left with 900. I can't do anything else with it. So it is 900 man to make 9 million. 900 man. I bought a man, then theoretically I bought a hyaku, and I'm left with 900 man. 900 man. Did you get it? I mean, I wish you could see your face right now. Because when you get it, you're like, oh, the people that have got it, they're excited. Let's do another one. There's a huge number that most people would just die seeing it. Even in English, you might die seeing this. How many zeros are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 zeros. What can you buy in English? You cannot buy a billion. You can only buy a million, which is 6 zeros, which means 100 is left. And you replace the 6 zeros with the word million. 100 million. Keep in mind, this is designed so that when I hear 100 million, I know that there's 8 zeros and I can immediately convert it to Japanese, which is what we're going to do, right? When I hear 100 million, I look, how many zeros is it? 8. Can I buy an oku? Yes. Yes, I can. Oh, I forgot to show you the number. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I did it again. That was the number. There's 8 zeros. It's 100 million. Because I buy a million with the 6, I pulled out of the picture, all that's left is 100 million. With Japanese, I can buy exactly an oku because there's 8 zeros, right? You see the chart? Right there. I can buy an 8. So it's ichioku. That number in Japanese is ichioku. Now, if you're thinking, damn Japanese numbers, think about Japanese people. They lose counters. They gain a smaller like split. We get a bigger split, but it's hard for them too. So this system actually, the rare Japanese person that understood it when I explained it to them, it works for them too. It's all about trading zeros, okay? So 8 zeros is ichioku. Let's do another one. Oh my gosh. That's a huge number. I mean, gosh, that's big in English. There's 9 zeros. We know because it's 333. It's a very easy split for us to look at. There's 9 zeros. In English, you can buy a billion. That's what you buy. So what do you have? 1 billion. The zeros have been removed and replaced with the word billion. Now think about Japanese. What can you buy? What's the biggest thing you can buy? What's the biggest thing you can replace? Well, there's 9 zeros. The biggest thing I can do is put an oku in there. That removes 8 of the zeros, and I'm left with ju. Ju oku. Ju oku. Now, if I wanted to reverse engineer that, right? I hear ju oku. I know that oku is 8. I know that ju is a 1. I know that that is 9 zeros. And I know if I want to convert it to English, I have to make a billion, right? Because billion is 9. Those are the ones that are white. All the white are English, all the yellow are Japanese. I am live streaming right now, and I would like to get a little bit of feedback from the people that are live streaming. Did that make sense? And if you have a question, because this is a special one, let me take your question before we do the pop quiz. If there is a question, I will take a moment of my drink, and we will see who understands. I mean, we got one guy that commented with a smiley face and a heart, but that was like a minute or two ago. See a lot of thumbs up, so it seems like a lot of people understood it, okay? Now, it will take practice. You will have to practice it. So let's do that. Let's do that right now. Let's practice with our pop quiz. This is a house in La Jolla. Apparently it's pronounced La Jolla. It's written as La Jolla, but it's pronounced La Jolla. This is a 4-bedroom house that goes for a little bit more than $2 million. But it is essentially a $2 million house with just 4 bedrooms. Wow, $2 million. Wow, 2 million. How do I say that in Japanese? 2 million. How many zeros are there in million? You have to know. 6. What can I buy in Japanese? I can't buy an oku because that's 8. I only have 6 zeros. I buy a man. I take away 4 zeros. I'm left with 200, which is 200. It is 200 man in Japanese. 100 man's an easy one. I mean, million is easy. Honestly, you're probably just going to remember that 100 man equals million. That's an easy one. But for the idea of understanding how the big numbers are calculated, you and how the zero system works, it's a good number to do. Take away the man, you're left with 200. All right? Let's do something else. Let's do another one. You know, it's funny. I've been on the internet searching all of these really expensive things, and I'm pretty sure, you know how the internet tracks what you do? The internet now thinks I'm extremely rich. This is an $8 million car. It's the Mercedes-Benz Maybach Excelero? Maybach Excelero? It's a beautiful car. There was another car that I was looking at. It was $4.8 million. But you know what? I couldn't pronounce the name. It was amazing, though. So I went with this one because I had figured out Maybach. So this Mercedes-Benz Maybach Excelero is $8 million. What can I buy? There's 6 zeros. I buy a man. Same thing. I'm left with 800. 800 man. 800 man. Pretty easy, right? Not so bad, right? All right. I mean, again, you could just remember that 100 man is a million. And you could just remember that isen man equals this and ju man equals this. But I'm telling you, when I was interpreting, it didn't work that way. My brain could not make the conversion. It's easy when you're dealing only with Japanese numbers, but when you're dealing with, I am speaking simultaneous interpreting, and some guy says 40 million, I can't get yonsen man that quickly. It just doesn't happen, right? All right. I got it right now because I'm practiced. The beauty about this system is once you learn it, your brain eventually will throw it away. It's like scaffolding on a building. When you're building a building, you have all this scaffolding to build it, but eventually you don't need the scaffolding because the building is done on its own. Eventually, when you know the system very well, you'll just do it very quickly. Your brain will know how to do it. All right, I believe this is maybe the last one. This is a couple. I was just looking for any. I just typed in, honestly, I typed in gosenman on the internet in Japanese, and what came up with gosenman was this couple, and they had figured out how to make gosenman yen. Gosenman. So they make whatever this number is, because wow, it's such a hard number. We don't know what this number is, yen per year. They figured out how to do it as a couple. Okay, they opened up a voice training school. So this is, and by the way, they were voted most beautiful clip art couple. They really look like clip art. I'm really doubting that this is the actual couple. They're too beautiful. Anyway, so gosenman, how many zeros is that? Sen is 3. Man is 4. So we have 7 zeros. What can we buy to make this into English? We know what Japanese already gosenman. We can only buy 1 million. We buy 1 million. We take away 6 zeros. We're left with 50 million yen. Boom! I know a lot of you got it because everyone watching just did a whole bunch of upvotes on this stream. Hopefully it was because they understood it, not because of my clip art joke. Okay, that's how you do it. How many dollars is that, by the way? So that was yen. So now this is a bonus trick. This is a bonus trick. So we know how we know how we got to 50 million yen, but then you're like, oh God, what is that in dollars? Well, luckily right now the dollar is about 100 yen to the dollar. Just remove 100 off of the number, remove 2 zeros, right? We had 7 zeros, remove 2 zeros, we're left with 5, 5 and 5. In English, you can buy 1,000 and 100, it is $500,000. They're making $500,000 a year with their voice training school, and their clip art royalty revenue. Thank you for watching. I sincerely hope that helped. And if you are confused or need further clarification, please post comments on YouTube or comments on the lesson. And hopefully I will get back to you. All right, stick around. We're going to do one more. We're going to do a prequel. We're going to talk about the 3 types of zeros and what 0 is used for. See you there in a moment. Bye.